Okay, today's video we're going to talk about basically switching over to a different manual product feed if you're running Google shopping campaigns or Google PMAX campaigns, or same thing over on Bing. If you're running Microsoft ads, how you can go from an automated feed, which most people are using on their e-commerce store to promote through the PMAX and shopping campaigns, to switch to that manual feed through customizing your feed a little bit more, other than just using a feed that's pulling information directly from your site, how you're actually going to get up to 100% plus more impressions, more clicks, more sales through your campaign. So with that said, I'm going to talk about then what are the benefits, of course, switching over to the manual product feed if you're using an automated product feed right now, which, if you don't know the difference, basically an automated product feed is going to be one that you use a plugin on your Shopify site, your WooCommerce site, that pulls all the information about all your products on your site and then sends it to Google for these campaigns. And a manual feed will be one where you set up basically a spreadsheet and then upload that to Google to power these PMAX and shopping campaigns itself. There's some exceptions there, but basically, what are the differences between that automated way of doing a product feed through Google Merchant Center and, of course, what's versus the manual way and the automated way? What are the main benefits, of course, in terms of ease of doing it? What is the potential gain and loss of results that you can get? And some real examples of where we actually took somebody using an automated product feed at our PPC firm, switched it to a manual feed, and got a lot more results. Over doubled the sales switching to a manual feed, but not just switching from an automated to a manual feed, but of course adding a few extra keywords in that feed, which is where the magic comes from to get this increase in clicks and sales from your campaign. If you are actually running shopping or the PMAX campaigns right now, you already know this is, for an e-commerce business, this is as profitable as it gets as far as running online ads. When somebody can see a picture of your product on Google search or on Bing or Bing itself through Microsoft ads and see the price of the item, they already know what they're going to basically get before they even get to your site. Therefore, you get really qualified traffic to your site. And of course, with Google and through PMAX, which gets you on those, get those picture ads on Google search, which were typically done through smart shopping ads, they're using all their data about basically all the users Google has to identify who's going to be pretty much a guaranteed buyer when they're searching, to match you up with that type of buyer, versus like with a search ad, they kind of do that, but their algorithm to get you the right traffic, the right customer, isn't quite as good, which is why the PMAX campaign will typically be more profitable than search campaigns. Of course, the other reason why search campaigns aren't as profitable is because they're harder to set up, and most people don't spend more than 15 minutes setting it up, which a good search campaign will do as good as a PMAX campaign if you spend the time to do it right. Watch some of my other videos if you want to set up a search campaign that's basically guaranteed to work. So anyway, if you're running PMAX or shopping campaigns, you want to more than double, or at least double, I should say, the amount of clicks you're getting on that campaign, and take the profitable numbers you're getting through that campaign already and get them up over 100% higher than where you're at right now, then you're going to get that on this video. I'm going to give you the actual strategy to do it. So there are actually two ways to run a PMAX or shopping campaign. Like I was mentioning before, there's an automated feed or manual feed. You need a product feed to run a shopping or PMAX campaign. If you haven't done either one of these already and you're running an e-commerce business, you want to try this, which if you haven't yet, you absolutely need to be trying these campaigns, because it usually just prints money. And so you need a product feed. You need to basically give through, to run a shopping or PMAX campaign, you have Google ads here, and then you have your site here, and then in the middle there's something called Google Merchant Center, And Google Merchant Center actually takes all the product data about all the products you sell, price of the products you sell, images, description, whether they're in stock, out of stock, all that stuff, puts it into a form that they can send to Google Ads so a campaign can run off of that. And that's the nuts and bolts of how you run shopping and PMAX campaigns, so that you can get all your items to basically be promoted through Google, through the little picture ads that have the price next to it, and not just a few items, but all the items that you have in inventory for Google to try to find you the customers that are searching for those in real time. And the automated feed, like I was saying before, generally that's going to create so that Google Merchant Center is the service that Google has that allows you to take data from your site about your products to get it to Google Ads so you can use it for a shopping campaign or PMAX campaign. And if you could do through software the import of the current products on your site and all the information about them to this Google Merchant Center, usually using a plugin on your e-commerce site, but also can be done through an API that you create to automatically, basically once a day, pull all the information about all the products, current prices, current availability, get it to Google Merchant Center so that your shopping campaign on Google is always running current to the exact products you have, and so on and so forth there. There's an alternate way to do it, which is through a manual feed, where you literally are going to create a spreadsheet or a Google sheet with all the same information that would be passed through using a plugin or what have you, and a product feed plugin is what it's called, and get that over to Google Merchant Center and then to Google Ads for your shopping campaigns, just by having that a spreadsheet basically with all the information that they would normally need for you for this, but you create it yourself. And there's pros and cons to each. Now, the automated feed, the pros of the automated feed is it's easier initially. All you got to do in order to set up a shopping campaign or a PMAX campaign is to get a product feed plugin put on your e-commerce site. If you have a mainstream e-commerce platform like Shopify or WooCommerce, there's already many of them out there. You install it on your site. It generally takes about an hour of your developer's time, and then Google Merchant Center has all the information it needs, and then therefore you can set up a shopping campaign, same day, if you will, or PMAX campaign. It's also easier to maintain because, basically all the time you have certain products that are in or out of stock, and if you have a lot of items, it's hard to track all that. And this automated feed, which sends the current status through that product feed plugin, sends the current status about all your products to Google, so ultimately to Google onto Google Ads in real time there, or at least, once per day. If something goes out of stock, it'll stop promoting it, and if something becomes in stock, it'll start promoting it again. So you're not ever promoting the wrong items. If you have to update your pricing, due to the inflation recently, you got to update your prices often. You don't have to update you don't have to do anything. Automatically, Google has the right information about the current products that are in stock and how much they should be charging for them, as well as shipping times and so on and so forth. If you make a change about shipping policies on your site, Google now gets all that information in real time through this product feed plugin, automated product feed plugin. Usually the good ones are, you spend $100 for it and that's the cost of it. That's really all there is to it. The cons is, of course, less flexibility. The automated feed, whereas it helps you save time in managing the data flow from your site to Google, if you want to give Google information other than what's exactly listed on your product pages, you can't do it. Whereas the whole premise of this video is, I'm telling you that if you add extra information to your product feed that you're giving to Google to run your shopping and PMAX campaigns, you'll end up with at least twice as much sales as you had before, because you can give Google a more optimized version of what data that you can and should give them, so that they can match you with better customers quicker, if you will. And so with the manual feed, the pros and cons are kind of basically the opposite. The pros on a manual feed is there's much more potential performance out of shopping and PMAX through using a manual product feed, and that's done through being able to customize more about the product feed itself. If you go with an automated feed, you're basically stuck with the title as it is, the default product image on the product page is how and what you're going to be able to show up on Google search and in the shopping ad placement. Whereas on the manual feed, you still have all obvious cons to the more performance through being able to customize more about and what's on your feed. It's harder to set up for lots of items. So whereas a manual feed, I'll typically, opt for that, on companies that sell maybe 20 or 30 products, because I can customize what I want. Once you start getting into selling thousands of items, it's very hard to maintain a manual feed. It can still be done, it's just harder. And so over time, so both initially creating the feed, it's harder, and then to maintain it, which is the bigger thing, it's a lot of extra work doing it through a manual feed. And there's a point where you have so many items that it's not feasible. Maybe I would say tens of thousands of items. It's going to take a lot of effort to not make it worth using a manual feed, given that you can get at least twice as much sales by having a manual feed, as I'm telling you here and through the case studies that we have to share. And so anyway, that's the deal with the automated versus the manual product feeds to run shopping and PMAX campaigns. Now, we already know what results you can get customizing the product photos if you use a manual versus an automated product feed. I have a video I made about 3 or 4 videos ago about how we took hot ladies and put those on the image of the product image that's within the product feed, in which Google then uses to put into our shopping ad, having basically a female with sex appeal holding the product or standing next to the product like a model, how that drastically increased click-through rates on the ads. So again, given that shopping campaigns are usually always profitable for people, you want to get as many clicks out of that as you can. Just by having the female model hold your products, especially in male-dominated markets where males are mostly your customers, but even if you were selling to females, psychologically, nothing gets a female's attention more than a female itself. That's why on all the magazines that sell to females all have pictures of females on it, not guys. So you can take that market research and apply it to what you're doing. And so you could, with a manual feed though, instead of having the product photo that shows on your product page of your site by default, you can use any other product image that you want. You can change the background. Instead of a white background, you can use a lifestyle background, like showing it on the grass or on a picnic table or whatever. Or you can have a female model standing next to it, or the piece of clothing can be worn by a female model versus just by itself on a hanger or whatnot. So you have options there to get a lot more out of your performance just from that. As far as shopping / PMAX campaigns go, and the shopping campaigns that are there, the shopping placement on Google, it's the product image and the price that basically make up most of how the results that you're going to get, because that determines who's going to click through on it, at least when you're talking about once it shows up for the right person at the right time. Beyond that though, having the product feed laced with the right keywords will get you to show up, get Google to be able to have you show up for the right person at the right time more often, or know and learn how to show up for the right person at the right time more often than if they had less information, or at least quicker, as Google's algorithm it's not, as shopping campaigns are not based upon keywords. They're going to have to use the information on your product page, and then through lots of testing and machine learning, figure out what is the right searches that each product should show up for, and then of the person that searches for that, what traits should the person also have to be likely to want to buy your product when they have those traits and make that kind of search. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of data, potentially hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars worth of shopping spend for Google's algorithm to get really good with minimal information to find out what they could know, that they could find out much quicker if you just took your product feed, a manual product feed, so you can change what ultimately Google gets, and are not just using by default what's on your product page, but taking the manual product feed there and then adding keywords to the product feed, so Google gets quicker what actual searches these products on an individual product by product basis should show up for. You can think of product feeds really, it's just like SEO. Just like you would want to go ahead and add keywords on your product pages so that they rank organically well, as it pertains to shopping campaigns, it's really no different. A lot of people just automatically think that also if there's keywords on my site, that automatically means that I'm going to get good placement for those keywords on my shopping campaign because they're going to look at the product page. What we also found, just through some also additional testing, in addition to what we are going to discuss here, is having the keyword that's already in your description and specifically on your site. If you're using an automated feed, in other words, and you have the word, tough in the product description on your site, and therefore that's what your product feed has. Basically, you could type in, tough work boots, and you're not going to show up as often as if you had the word tough in the product title on your product feed, and as if you added that on there and then you potentially switched to a manual feed so that you could have the product title say tough in it. You'll show up more often. Your shopping ad will show up on searches related to work boots, given that's what the item is, but that's with it saying tough quicker and faster than if it didn't have tough in the product title itself. So it's very similar into SEO, as if you know anything about SEO, if you're going to put keywords on a page in order to get to rank for those organically, putting them in the page title gives it the most likely, the highest likelihood of ranking for that particular keyword, whereas putting that keyword in the heading, what they call H1 in HTML code, it's the second most likely to rank, and then it's H2, and then it's into the description or the text on the page. So ultimately your goal is to put it in the title, or you put your best keywords in the title because those have the most likelihood to rank. We found then with the product feeds, it's similar in that whatever keywords in the title are the most likely to show up in searches related to that keyword, versus if that keyword's just in of course the description itself, or you set up a custom attribute on your product feed and that keyword is there. So your goal is to get the most important keywords you would want about that product in the title on your product feed. And with using a manual product feed, you don't have to have that keyword in the title of your product page to make it look too salesy. You could just do it on your product feed, and boom, all of a sudden your product there will show up for more searches related to that keyword right away and get you more traction on that particular keyword and related to that keyword. So there's many different kind of instances where you can capitalize on this information, knowing that even if keywords are on your product page, you'll actually do better if that keyword's replicated on your product feed, specifically in the title, where it wasn't specifically in the title, but it was on the description on your product page. But also, of course, when you don't even have keywords on the site, but you added those keywords to the product feed to give Google more information about what it should show up for and get a lot more impressions right away because you added those keywords in there. It's pretty much like magic. You add those keywords on there, pretty much right away you'll start showing up for these other searches, and that's where your additional clicks come from. And of course, the keywords, if they're relevant to the product, legitimately, your sales should go up right along with the number of clicks you got, which means double the profit along with double the clicks. We had a situation where we worked with a printer toner seller. So basically, laser printer, sorry. You have to replace the printer toner in it every so often. And companies sold the replacement toners, both the factory ones and then ones which they call OEM, and then remanufactured would be ones that are rebuilt, if you will, and then there's also ones that are rip-offs, if you will. They're copies that are made in China that are like the originals but not made by the printer manufacturer. And so anyway, with that, we found in that market there's basically three main ways that somebody searches for printer toner, by the way. You either search for printer toner by itself, and then find a site, and then search through the search results or the search bar on that printer toner seller's site to find the exact toner cartridge you need for your printer. Or you're going to search for your printer model, HP 1287, DeskJet, maybe is the name of the printer, and you're going to type that into Google and then type in toner after it, and then hope you find what you want that way. Or you look at the toner cartridge and you look at the actual part number on the toner cartridge, because every toner cartridge has it, and you type that into Google and hope you find something that way. And because with that, you may only have the printer toner in your hand, you may not have the printer in front of yourself. So when you go search for it, you search for the part number. Anyway, with that, we found if we put the part number, on the search campaigns, we knew it was very lucrative to bid on the keyword or the part number. So for every printer toner they sold, we set up a search campaign to target every part number as a keyword, if you will. As it came to the shopping campaign, then it made only logical sense to put the part number on the product feed, already knowing what we know about adding keywords to product feeds. And specifically also, based upon us knowing that if you put the keyword in the title, it has more impact. In the title of the product feed, it has more impact than the description on the product feed, and so forth down the line in terms of other attributes, custom attributes that you could create, where you could potentially create a whole column with a custom attribute that says your part number, and then have that in there, which would be something that you could do if you didn't want to put it in your title or description. You could also do, but we wanted to get it in the title if we know that's the one thing that describes the product more than anything else that we want our product to show up for. So we we took a campaign. So they already had a shopping campaign going, which is something I would recommend going about doing this, doing this experiment this way to test out the theory of putting keywords on the product feed if you want to prove to yourself how effective this is. If you have a shopping campaign going that's powered by an automated feed, you could set up a second campaign with this manual feed, and then you build out the manual feed, and you're going to put the keywords in the manual feed and then run them side by side and see how much more traction you'll get with the additional campaign, because it has additional keywords in it. And so you don't have to abandon your current campaign or risk so-called losing it or whatever. You can just run an additional campaign and you'll show up more times. Eventually the new campaign should replace the old campaign, but until it does, which a lot of times I'll run campaigns side by side like that in a situation like that for years before I'll ever shut the old campaign off, because it takes a campaign with years of data on it versus a new campaign. No matter how good that new campaign is, it takes a long time to catch up. It's almost like the tortoise and the hare, if you will. Basically, even if I'm faster, if the tortoise is almost at the finish line, it's still going to take me a long time to catch up. Because even in the time that I'm trying to catch up to the turtle or the tortoise, that tortoise is still moving forward. That old campaign's still improving, while my new campaign, even though it's better and has a better rate of return, it's still trying to catch up to that old campaign. So anyway, new campaign, manual feed, took the part number and added it in the title on the product feed, which on Google search, the shopping ads, you can't even see the title there. The title is for Google Shopping itself, and in there it's going to say the HP 1287 DeskJet, and then in brackets we put part number, so that'll be in the title of the product in the Google Shopping, which it looks a little spammy, but for the most part it's not that bad. But what we did then get is right away show us our shopping ads to show up for everybody searching for part numbers from now on. And of course on Google Shopping it helped us get more traction there. We get more sales there right away. And then of course on Google search, because it's showing up for the part numbers more often, specifically in the context of our shopping ads showing up for searches related to part numbers way more often, we automatically started getting a ton more sales. This got us over 2 times more impressions and clicks for the campaign as we had it without the part numbers on the product feed. If we already had the part numbers on the site, like I said, and we didn't have it on the product feed, you would certainly get a big boost by having it on the product feed. If the part numbers were on the product, or excuse me, on the site and on the product feed already, but it's in the description, you could get even more results, as I was trying to describe before, by putting the part number in the title. And because, again, most people won't even see that title, why not take advantage of it? But in this particular situation, because we had the right information to know the exact keyword that we wanted to put in the title, we got those amazing results where we over doubled the amount of sales that we got from shopping as a whole, having that new campaign with the part numbers in the title running alongside with the existing campaign we had, just to supplement what we got overall from shopping. So you got my point there. So that's the kind of thing that you want to do in research. What is that one type of keyword that maybe applies to all my products that I can put in the title of the product feed, potentially in brackets to separate it out, that my shopping campaign is just going to really start taking off? Or like I said before, that my new shopping campaign will do to supplement my old campaign so I don't have to touch my old campaign. I would not recommend at all, actually, changing your old campaign and the product feed hooked up to it, because as I mentioned before, most of Google's shopping and PMAX campaign results is based upon the old data about what worked and what didn't work from your campaign, because it's not keyword based. That even if you go and change something on that product feed that makes it better legitimately, it's going to disrupt your results. So instead of seeing your results go up and down before they go up, if you want a smooth ride to the top, which most people do, then just do it on a new campaign and then run them side by side. Some people have a problem that I deal with that say, why do you want to run the campaign side by side? Won't they, compete with each other? And the answer is, yes, they will compete with each other, but the cumulative results from them both running will be more than just one or the other. It's not like Google says it has to be one or the other. There's so many variables in terms of deciding, will your ad show up or will a competitor's ad show up, that there is no direct, comparison there, if you will. Because it doesn't look at just, the amount of what the search is, but what the people searching out of the millions of different data points they have on all their users. They go and store all the data that you've had about and searched on Google for in the last 10 years, sites that you've went to, what you've said with the Google app on your phone, recorded all that. And so when someone searches, ultimately they're trying to find that perfect set of traits that you have that makes somebody that if they see your ad for that certain product, they know it's going to be a home run. And once they find it, they have it show up for that. So ultimately, as it pertains to this, they'll still, from your old campaign, do what they're doing about what they found out. With the new campaign, they're going to find out something new. So you're going to start showing up for stuff that the first campaign did really well, but for other types of situations and searches that people were making, and different types of people making those searches. So it's a really hard concept for people to wrap their head around sometimes. But anyway, that's the printer toner company. Now, there's some different variants you can use to take advantage of lacing your product feed, a manual feed with different keywords to skyrocket your shopping sales. For a clothing brand, we put a keyword in there for a female clothing brand, keywords in there related to the product. So one thing that Google and their algorithm for the shopping ads that power shopping ads and the PMAX campaigns is it doesn't understand context. So if you have a picture of a dress that's a backless dress, basically it's just like what it sounds like. There's no back on it. They don't know by looking at the photo that it's backless. So the obvious thing to do would be to put backless in the description. Well, some in this particular situation, they would kind of do that, but a lot of times they wouldn't put backless in there. They would put open back or open back. I can't remember, that situation. It was one or the other. Basically, though, with that, so then the algorithm, by reading the description on the site, knows that it should show up for a dress and then open back. But as smart as their algorithm is, there's no guarantee necessarily, we'll just say, that they know open back and backlist is the exact same thing. So, with that said, if you just take the word backlist, which we can't litter up our actual product page with all these different versions of backlist and synonyms basically for the word backlist, we can load up our product feed on the other hand with all these synonyms of the main word that describes the product and get a lot more searches. And so whereas Google has something called LSI or latent semantic indexing, where they kind of know how one keyword is related to another keyword, and so if they know if something works for one keyword, it'll work for other synonyms. It's still, we've proven this in this exact example, that even though that should be the case, taking the main descriptive keyword, if it's not on the site, and putting that in the title of the product, you're going to get a ton more searches and a ton more, as they call it, impression share, number of times that you're eligible to show up out of 100 for keywords related to that keyword you put in the title than if it wasn't on the product feed and specifically wasn't in the title. You would get a few more if you put it in the description on the product feed, but you'd get even more if you put it in the title. Whereas you can't fit everything in the title necessarily without, when it does show up on Google Shopping itself without looking too junky, you could actually take this quite a ways. You could put 5 or 10 different keywords in the title. That's kind of pushing it in terms of, looking without, we've never gotten to the point where we've gotten penalized from Google doing this, but you could do that. But if not, you could put one main keyword that gets the most searches on Google Keyword Tool. You did the research, put that in the title, and then put 5 others or like it that get a lot of searches but not quite as many in the description on the product feed, so that you get shown for those as well. And with those not being on the actual product page on the site, you'll get more impressions from that, if you get my point here. So that's another example of how you can actually SEO, if you will, your product feed to get more out of shopping and PMAX campaigns. So with that said, there's another example here which I can give you. This is a kind of a gray hat strategy, if you will. But for a mailbox company we promoted, luxury mailbox company, in that situation, now we're not talking about regular keywords anymore. We had a genius idea, or I should say myself, had a genius idea to put the competitor's name, because ultimately they had a few mailboxes that are like the mailbox that they sold. And so ultimately, we know pretty much everybody who looked at our mailbox looked at the competitors and vice versa. Not all the time, but ultimately our box was the best in the category. So in that case, it made a lot of sense to go after and do as many competitor strategies as we could. Anybody searching for a competitor, we wanted to show up ultimately on Google search for them. If they've been to that competitor site, we wanted to have our ad show up on different websites, which you can do through custom intent audiences. I've talked about that in other videos. But as it pertains to the shopping campaign, given what I just told you here, you can take the name of that competitor and put it in the title on your product feed. So that if they're searching for the competitor, our shopping ad will show up for them. So we have our search ad show up for them. Now we can have our shopping ad show up for them if the shopping ads are going to show up for our competitor's name, that is. Which, they do sometimes, other times they don't. It's getting to be more and more shopping ads show up for when you type in a company name or product name on Google. That's just what's going to happen. So every time the shopping ads show up, when somebody types in your competitor's product name, there your ad's going to be on shopping prominently. In a lot of cases, shopping is above the search ad, so it's probably going to be the first thing noticed and clicked on. So you have an opportunity like we had here to get a whole bunch more clicks on our shopping campaign. I bet also the ones that are actually the most profitable to us right away, simply just by putting the main competitor's product name and company name in the title. And this is actually similar to what people have been doing on sites like Craigslist and eBay and stuff. And if you're from Canada, like Kijiji, where in the description they would put if you were selling you had a Camaro for sale, Chevy Camaro for sale, in the listing, you could have everything, and then in the description, you put not Mustang, not Corvette, not, so that other people searching for those other things, your ad could show up for them because you could cross-market them. So this is somewhat similar to that, even though that is pretty sketchy. At the same time, you're paying for the ads. I don't see anything wrong with it. You could put all those main competitors you have in the title and get a very high likelihood to always have your shopping ad from now on show up for people searching for that competitor's name. And when traffic from your competitor searches is already profitable through your search ads, it makes no sense not to do this for your shopping feed as well. And again, there's no reason why if you are already doing shopping, to not set up a separate manual feed or a second manual feed even, run a second campaign so that you can capture at the maximum degree searches for the competitor's products and the competitor's brand name as well. And as it comes to competitors, I've said many times on this channel, find the competitors' product names and the company name, the legal name, have their website, their trade names, trademarks, and have all those be keywords in your product feed or in your search campaigns if you're going to do that as well. But since we're talking about shopping campaigns here, in your product feed, and while you might not want to actually put them all in your title, you could do it in your description itself and get a lot more traffic from people searching anything about that competitor, if you will. So technically, if you put a competitor's name in the ad that you have, technically that's trademark infringement. Well, I can tell you, if you put the name of that competitor in the title in any ad, you're going to get 2 to 3 times as many click-throughs. So you may or may not want to do that. As mentioned, your shopping ad doesn't have your title showing up in it, but if you go to the shopping app, Google Shopping app, where you click on the shopping tab within Google search, that's the shopping app. You also have shopping, a literal app on your phone for Google Shopping. But the title that they see will have let's say luxury mailbox and then name of competitor. They may actually sometimes think, oh, that's the one I was looking for, and then get to your product and not realize it's your product versus the competitors, depending on how close it is, or depending on how tired and all that the person is, and just siphon that cut and just pilfer that customer away at a very, very low cost, because that person potentially this was payday, this is the day I was going to buy, and you get them at the last second and piss that competitor off. So anyway, that's another kind of way to take advantage of how you can so-called SEO your product feed using a manual product feed, and to get upwards of 2-3 times as many clicks from shopping and sales from shopping than you had before. So as a last mention here, I talked about manual and automated feeds. Technically, you don't have to just you don't have to just use a manual feed to SEO your product feed like that, as I mentioned here with these examples. You could actually use an automated feed. You would just have to not use an out-of-the-box product feed for your e-commerce site. You would have to make one on your own, or customize it, or somewhat, or something else. I mentioned that for Google Merchant Center, you can use the API to send your product data to Google Merchant Center, which then can send it to Google Ads. So if you had a custom script that sends data through the, using the API to Google Merchant Center, then you could actually have the best of both worlds, where all the updates about your products on your store are constantly being sent to Google, and you can still customize the title to have what you want, and have that be different than the actual title as it exists on your site, so that you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting as many clicks as you can, plus you're still getting the automated aspects of having an automated feed would basically provide. So that's something else to potentially consider. You don't have to just use a manual feed to get these extra results and then have to be stuck with manually updating that feed. If you have, again, 10,000 plus products, it may not certainly be feasible to do a manual feed. In that case, if you have a store that big, you could probably afford to hire a programmer to set up an API feed that feeds your product data into Google Merchant Center, and then with that, customize what you have for the title and description so you can put keywords in there, and potentially have like a an SEO type person go in there and add more keywords to really butter up your product feed that's getting sent to Google with lots of other additional keywords, and have that be the only manual part of what you're doing to send data to Google, if you will. You can, i.e., customize the title and description, but everything else is automated, if you will. So anyway, I think I'll wrap it up with that. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is a great moneymaker. Should really give it a shot and see how good it will work for you. You can't go wrong setting up a test campaign and do it on a couple items. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel, as I have a ton of these strategies that I'm going to be able to give to you and have given to you on this channel about how to make more money with Google ads, Facebook ads. It's information, I promise you, that it's going to be better than what you're going to find anywhere else on YouTube as far as actual actionable advice on how to make money with PPC ads. And I'm not just embellishing here. I literally can't find any better information. If you do know of a place that has better actionable advice, I want to know, because I want to learn as well. We can do that for you because we have a PPC agency here where we're feeding you the exact testing and strategies that work for you on this channel, as well as the stuff that doesn't work to stay away from. So with that said, on our PPC agency that we run on our site, I also have a blog where you can go to guaranteeppc.com/blog, where I've written actual step-by-step information on how to build PPC campaigns that we use for our clients to literally guarantee the results, to where if you want to know on a more step-by-step basis on how to set up campaigns like these shopping campaigns and doing the stuff like I mentioned here, you can find great supplementary information there in addition to the high-level overview strategy stuff I cover on this channel. If you have any questions about anything I covered here today and want to know potentially how it would apply to your business, given something that might be unique to you, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days, or questions. So there's a final thing I do want to bring up before I wrap this up, which is we have a brand new program here at Guarantee PPC where we're offering, literally speaking, turnkey PPC campaigns that generate millions of dollars of sales that you could use to bolt onto your business or start a new business and get those kind of results on your campaign basically right away. In that we have campaigns that we're running for many, many clients at any given time, where they're in one market, you're in another market, there is no conflict of interest. You can see those results that other person's getting in real time and then get those same exact results for yourself just by using the exact campaign that we will literally give or sell to you to use on your own. And this is a great way to basically, if you're struggling with marketing your business now and scaling your business, to set up a business that would scale with proven results, or a lot of times we'll have proven campaigns in your market already, which you can bolt on to your exact company right now, where we give you, the exact campaigns, landing pages, all of it, and you can get the same exact results they are. If you're interested in what kind of markets we have campaigns in, we have campaigns in the services and product space both, you can contact our firm and we will go over what we have available. So a lot of times this can be the more, even if you have a business going already, the easier shortcut path to riches, given the campaigns are already working. You source these new products or outsource this work to another person and literally sit back and make money on the fact that you have a PPC campaign that's proven and profitable for you, and let the other people that you outsource this to or employees that you have do the hard work, and you've got something that's basically working right away. Whereas the companies that we've worked with to get these campaigns, we've worked for years to generate these great results, if you will, already, and you're just going to capitalize and build off of that. So anyway, contact our firm if you're interested. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you back where we have another great PPC strategy for you to be able to make more money with your Google ads, Facebook ads, and so forth. See you then.